And hello there to my Gutsy Women Finances friend. Today we're going to talk about 5 tips on building financial resilience. Now, if you are new to this, know that this is the presentation only recording. I do not record our live sessions, and that is because I want you to be able to feel like what we talk about is confidential. It's between us. You want to talk about issues that you've had with resilience, struggles. You have an open forum in our live presentations, knowing that those sessions are not recorded. Plus, this gets you through the material all that much faster. So if you missed it, you can come back later and just watch the presentation. So let's go ahead and start. Resilience, there's really personal resilience, and then there's financial resilience. Now, resilience is nothing more than the ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. When we add the financial piece on top of it, it really just means the ability to withstand and recover from temporary financial hardship and disruption. So, key words here: change and temporary. Change is part of everyday life. We wake up, it's a new day, everything is changed. And temporary. Finances go up, they go down. Sometimes we don't always have control over it, right? So it's about that resilience, how we adapt to change, and how we see things as temporary and try to change our situations to improve it. So there are lots of key attributes. I have an article on Thursday talking about the key attributes of resilient people, and I picked out 3 of those attributes that are particularly significant to financial resilience. The first of these is an internal locus of control versus an external locus of control. Now, stay with me, guys, stay with me. It really just means that people who are resilient feel that they know what they can and cannot change. They're going to focus on what they can change and take some action. So they realize that they have power within themselves to change the outcomes. People who are externally located, external locus of control, those are folks who want to go out and buy the lottery ticket and get lucky at the horse track and hope that inheritance falls their way, or somebody else is going to help them get their money back in a good situation. Big difference between the two. All right, resilient people, smart goal setting. I use something called smarter goal setting, which I'll talk about in a bit. But, when you're going through difficult times, especially financial times, and maybe you lose your job, the economy crashes, something happens, the car breaks down and you can't afford to get it repaired. You set a goal. Goal setting can help you see the big picture. So, okay, maybe I need to sell a couple of things. Maybe I need to get a side hustle. Maybe I need da-da-da-da. But it empowers you. So when you set goals, when you make a plan, that is a key attribute of resilient people, and especially important for financial resilience. That third piece, hey, good emotional management. Okay, so in the world of finances, things happen all the time, and you can, you listen to one person, sell all your stuff now, everything is crashing. Another person's like, buy, this is a really good time to buy, bargain basement prices. You know what? They feed off of your emotions. And so when you can kind of stand back, when you can pause and just say, you know what, I'm not going to be caught up in that. That is, you can be more resilient financially and personally. So those are 3 key attributes that I really like in terms of helping you with financial resilience. Now, people say either you are resilient or you're not. And, let's face it, I've known people who are very, very resilient, and others who just, the smallest thing happens and they just can't keep it under control. You know what I mean? So some people say, well, that's just part of human nature, part of who we are. We're either born resilient or not. I'm a sociologist. I got to call hogwash on that, guys, because resilience can be taught. There are certain things that you can do that will build your resilience. You can get involved in creating stronger relationships of respect, love, and trust. You can learn how to control those emotional impulses. You can learn how to become more positive. And, this is kind of interesting too, because you can be more resilient when you begin to take care of yourself. And it has to do with that internal locus of control. You're taking charge of your health. You're taking charge of your fitness. You're getting good sleep. You're making good, healthy decisions. That actually helps you be more resilient in the long run, because it feeds into that idea that you have control over who you want to be and how the world you want to live in. You can learn how to stay calm under pressure. You can focus your attention on the present. You can practice mindfulness, and you can be situationally aware. And you can also make plans and take actions to create solutions. So don't think of yourself as, I'm just not very resilient. Other people are, I'm just not. You can learn to be resilient. You can teach your kids how to be more resilient. So there's promise in that. Let's get right down to the nitty-gritty of the financial resilience, that ability to withstand and recover from temporary financial hardship and disruptions. So I'm going to give you 5 tips. Okay. Tip 1 has to do with building a support network. Tip 2 is about prioritizing. 3, making a plan. 4, tuning out the noise. And 5 is save. So let's go right into it. Tip number 1. So the people you hang out with matter a tremendous amount. They influence your attitude, your level of optimism, how much, what you're spending. They influence your spending habits. Let's face it, they do. They also influence your success. So I remember, the older I've gotten, and you may experience this too, the easier it is to say no, and the easier it is to hang out with the people you want to hang out with, the people who make you feel good, the people who make you laugh, the people who bring things to your life. The easier it is to say no to those people who just drain your energy, who are negative, who, you feel kind of lousy after a conversation with them. So, I'll give you an example. So when I began, I lost my career ended very suddenly. And I decided I'm going to become a financial coach. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to learn how to be a financial coach, take my sociology degree and blend a little bit of that and take all my skills. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And I met up with a former colleague. We had lunch. And I told her about my plans. And she said, well, when it fails, it's all on you. And I looked at her and I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, you mean when it succeeds, it's all on me? So, she was somebody I chose not to hang around with very often. So, that the negativity, the sort of the fatalism, things are going to be bad. As an entrepreneur, you do question yourself. And the last thing you need is to be around people who just don't believe in what you're doing or are trying to put seeds in your thought of failure. I don't need that. So pick your friends carefully. It is okay to say, you know what, this just relationship isn't really working for me. Just kind of fade away. Tip number 2 is prioritize. What does prioritizing have to do with financial resilience? I'm going to tell you it has to do everything with it. It has to do everything with financial freedom too. So I'm talking to you today from my RV, and I've had to prioritize. So I've prioritized, once I had a nice steady job, I really prioritized savings and my dream fund. I prioritized travel. I love to travel. And even now, I prioritize because, it's real easy to go out and grab something to eat all the time. And, at some point I was like, you know what? I'm spending too much money dining out. And a lot of times the food isn't that good. A lot of times it's not that healthy for me. And it's not my priority. My priority is to go hiking. My priority is kayaking. I'll pay to go horseback riding. My priorities are very clear in my mind. That helps me make decisions almost instantly. If I've got $100 and I can use it to dine out 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, or I can use it to go on a nature boat ride, I know exactly what I'm going to do. And maybe I can't do both of those things. Oftentimes, you can't do everything that you want to do. So when you know what your priorities are, you are, you can make financial decisions based on those priorities. It helps you when you have hard times, you know what you can cut. If you look around your house, quite likely there's lots of stuff you don't use, lots of things that don't really bring you happiness. Look in your closets, what's there. Maybe it's time to get rid of stuff. By the way, before I forget, and I already forgot on tip number 1, I'm going to include the download, so you have the PDF, and you are able to actually, I'm going to make it PDF fillable, so where I have the lines here, those are activities. So I want you to ask yourself, what are your priorities in terms of how you use your money? Write it down. Okay. Tip number 3 is to make a plan. And I'm going to tell you what my biggest mistake has been not making an alternate plan. So, I was finishing my PhD, writing my dissertation, went to defend it. I knew I was going to, I've got my degree. I was planned to go into academia. I did not count on the academic market just plummeting. And, sociology is not exactly a hot, in-demand field. So I did not really have a backup plan, and I struggled for years trying to figure out, well, now what does my life look like? How can I use this degree to do something that is meaningful if this academic market is at least shut down for me now? So at that point, I really needed a plan B, C, D, E, F. I could have probably needed a plan Z, but that was a mistake that I made. It would have helped me be more resilient if I had had a plan. So, when things don't work out very good, you lose a job. The investments go way down. Something, again, the car breaks down. You have a medical crisis, things you can't pay for. Have a plan. It helps you feel like, there are some things in my power to do. Even if I have to go, ask somebody for a temporary loan, I've got a plan. I know exactly what to do. So I talked about SMART goals, but I actually use something called SMARTER goals. I have an E and an R at the end. SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound. The E is for evaluate, because over time your goals change. So that's a reminder to go back and ask yourself, is this really what I want to do? Is it still attainable? Is it realistic? Maybe I need to change the time on my time factors on here. So make it evaluable. The other thing is reward. Because when you have a goal, a lot of times, like with financial goals, it's all about, I'm going to save as much as I can. And what happens is you forget to reward yourself. And then at some point, you start to feel like, this is just nothing but sacrifices. I can't live like this. I'm just giving too much away. I can't continue to do this, and you drop it all together. When you build in rewards, it helps you achieve those long-term goals. So I want you to ask yourself, if things don't work out the way you hoped, what's your plan B? Okay, think about it, write about it, go for it. Tip number 4 is tune out the noise. So there are certain times, I'm coming at you in June 2022, and there's a lot of talk about the markets are crashing, inflation is out of control, filling up a gas tank is crazy. The housing market is overpriced. Recession is coming. It's doom and gloom. This time it's going to be different. Okay, guys, if you've been around, you've heard a lot of this before. In fact, if you listen to some of the pundits, I remember in probably 2008, 2009, with that housing bubble and the huge recession, one of the pundits, Jim Cramer, just screaming, "Get out of everything now! Get out of everything now! Sell, sell, sell!" It's like, well, if you had sold at the low point of that market, you never would have gained all of the profits that came back a year and a half later. So you've got to tune out some of that noise. Yes, do your research, but don't get, that noise riles you up, gets your emotions going, and you feel like you have to do something, you have to do it now, and calm down. Think about your long-term plans. Think about your investments or your funds, and always, have some short-term funds available to you, which is tip number 5. Okay, your assignment for this one is to know your tendencies. What happens when you see the markets go down? What happens when your investments decline in value? Do you pull it out? What is your tendency? If you know what your tendencies are, you can put things in place to say, I'm just not even going to look at my account. I don't need this money for 10 years. I looked at my investments. I'm invested properly. I have a fair amount of risk. I'm not going to make a move when all these things are going crazy. So just know your tendencies, and you only learn that over time. But tune out all of that noise. All right. Your biggest number one factor to resilience, to financial resilience, is to have a savings cushion. So, there's nothing worse than having a big bill come due. I've got 3 cats, and they've needed some vet care the last couple of weeks, and I've racked up, hundreds and hundreds of dollars in vet bills. I've spent thousands just, with a really ill cat. It's like, what a horrible decision that would have been for me to not be able to get these lovely cats the care they needed, or myself the care I needed, because I didn't have the funds. So when you have a savings cushion, a good balance in your savings account, it makes you worry less. You can withstand those tough times, and it's just a really smart practice. Now, here's sort of what we're going to get into on the next workshop, because I work with a lot of women who oversave because they are afraid to invest. They're afraid to take any risk. So that's a problem of a different dimension. Right now, I want you to focus on how much you have in a savings account. How much money can you get to if there's an emergency? If you got laid off today, if you got unemployed, if you lost your job tomorrow, how long would that money last? So ask yourself how much you've got in the savings, write it down, and how much you want in your savings account. Savings is the number one key to help you get through tough times, to help you build that resilience. I want you to take an action. All right, 24 hours, I want you to do one thing, one action. It can be small, it can be big. It's up to you. Take one action in the next 24 hours to boost your financial resilience. Okay, write it down. I would love to know in the comments what action you took, and how it went. So don't forget to add that. All right, I mentioned our next workshop. It's June 22nd. What's a couch potato portfolio and why should I care? Part of the keys about resilience, which is June's theme, is to know that you are invested in a way that's not going to destroy your net worth, but also, going to help you build it over time. And if you can put that investing sort of an automatic pilot where you're not tempted to take it all out when word comes of an impending recession, you're going to be much better off. So that's coming up June 22nd. If you have not checked out the Financial Freedom Academy, which is for wealth builders and wealth accelerators, they're in that program. And again, with your subscriptions, you can go up, you can go down at any time. But the Financial Freedom Academy walks you through all the steps you need to build your financial freedom. So check that out. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Come to me at a live presentation so that you can add your input, ask questions, talk about things that are important to you until our next workshop, and I will see you in the community. You guys have a good night. Take care.